life coaching today presents, hosted by Kiddada Asmara.
Well, good morning. Good morning. It has been a long time since I have been on at 7 a.m. and 7 a.m. prompt too. So, good morning to you all. Gosh, it has been a minute. If you are joining me for the first time, if you're returning, let me introduce myself. My name is Kiddada Asmara Grey, and I am your conflict whisperer. What that means is that a little deep dive, I have a conflict resolution background, a conflict management background. I love conflict, y'all, and I help you wade your way through different types of conflicts in this world. And everyone thinks that conflict is war, and we can talk about war because I've studied war, but actually, conflict is a day to day movement of life. It's a challenge, it's your choices that you make, it's everything of the above that definitively gives you a moment to pause, rethink, and wonder about your choices, right? That we have challenges with. And I always have this conversation, right? Because people think and they want to believe that conflict is such a horrible thing. And it could be at times. It also can be things that are really slight. And I like to give this example of external conflicts. It might be, you might be having a challenge with your coworker. Really simple, right? Now we also have internal conflicts, and those internal conflicts are things like, think about those of the core decision-making things in your mind, the processes in your mind that you go through. And I like to throw out this fun one. How long does it take to get dressed in the morning? Or what do we do when we're repeatedly late for work? It's just one of those things, right? So people always think it's the big things, and it can also be the little things of life. And when you are a conflict coach, guess what I do? I assist people in all ranges. And usually it's relationship, usually it's work-life balance, it's a re-entry into the workforce, especially if you are a stay-at-home mom and you're looking for a new career, you're trying to enter in. And sometimes it's the big things. It could be like divorce. It could be so many things. So I just needed to put that out there, right? Because I think we need to train ourselves in the world to stop believing that conflict has to be messy. We look at social media, we look at the things that are happening in the world. We always have a fight, and here's a big conflict. It's kind of like, what's journalism now, right? There's been a brand of journalism that's always been chasing down celebrities. I am the worst at any celebrity gossip news, except for the latest Cardi B stuff, because everyone's talking about that. All the way to, are we reporting the facts? Are we reporting the lies? And we know that there's definitely the political side of conflict, right? That never really wins. So it's just something that I wanted to talk to you all about, because I want to teach you how to become comfortable with conflict. And sometimes conflict is just about the skills that you need to have, or resolving conflict, it's about the skills that you need to have to move yourself forward, right? Or in and out of something. Like I teach my kids, some of these things that you deal with It's just about skills. It's about how you look at the relationships you have with people, understanding people, giving people the opportunity to really see who you are, for you to see who they are. And then there's a whole bunch of like almost alphabet soup of conflict all thrown in the middle of all of that as well. So I just wanted to have that conversation. I will probably have that conversation more and more, because guess what? Some of y'all don't listen. Um, Not that I'm taking it personally, because y'all will keep me in business forever. But it is just a challenge, right? It is a challenge. That's what a conflict is at the most basic level. And yeah, so I want to talk about some things in the news first and foremost before we get to the topic of the day, because we have two topics. And, last night I was, I read way too much. Oh, let me back up. So, y'all, I'm so tired. Can I tell y'all why I'm tired? I'm tired because I went on vacation with my family, and I'm going to use a word that many of you all may not know, and it's called fictive, FICTIVE, family. And that is something that Black people do. And I'm going to give you the example. I'm going to give you all the examples. So you're like, what in the world is a fictive family? And that's when your like best friends' children become your family. You're like, oh, this is my family. That's my niece. That's my nephew. We just start grabbing people off the streets. Talk about that's my family. That's my family. And so another way to think about it, it's the family that you build versus the family that you were born into. And so I went last week. We were out in Orlando, and I got to take the doggy Zora, y'all. She went on her first road trip, did a fantastic job on the ride. But we laughed so much. Of course, your girl got sick, because why not? Because my fibromyalgia shows up anywhere that I live, and I carry a suitcase, so it comes with me. And yesterday, we just all were tired again. Like, oh my goodness, like tired. I'm talking about with the capital T this time. So yeah, I'm tired, but I had a great time in Orlando. Now listen, I have aged out of the going to the parks thing, because I used to take my own children who were now in their 20s and 30s. It was like twice a year for 10 years or something like that. So they owe me a Disney trip. But yeah, I'm just tired. And it is interesting that to be so tired, right? After you need a vacation, after your vacation, which is hilarious. But it's all good because it was a good time. And like I said, the doggy got to go on her first. Listen, y'all, she was a champion. Her nose was smelling all of the world's desires, wants, and needs, and she was in the streets. To the point that they were laughing at her at the gas stations, because she was like, wait a minute, all this citrus down here, all these coconuts, what are we doing? What are we doing? So she had a great time. And thankfully, she did not get into the pool, because that was about to take my life. Yeah, so I'm tired. If I look like I'm half asleep, it's because I feel like I'm still half asleep. As we are rolling into fall, and I think most children in the United States are now back in school, with the remaining of them starting this past week, I think September 2nd, September 3rd, just right after Labor Day. And so we're rolling, and school shenanigans have started already. They began with the phone calls, of the worst phone calls that any parent, because college students go back to school first. And we had students at like Villanova on their very first moving day. If you went to college, think about that. If you drop your child off at university, the very first day, moving day, it's such an amazing time. But to have phone calls where people are calling in fake shootings, people are calling in fake harm calls to 911, just traumatizing people on their first day of school. It's just crazy to me. And we also have we've already had children passing away. I mean, school has been in for 6 weeks, y'all. And kids, I mean, I read a story last night of a young man, and here's what's interesting. They never said what he said. He was a middle school student. He never said what he said to the other young man that decided to attack him. But he got body slammed and he's in the hospital. He's only been in school a couple weeks. He's hospitalized. He has brain bleeds. It's a wild, wild world that we're in. However, I do want to point out that when I say we're in it's a wild, wild world that we're in, it also points to me that we don't have the skills that we need. We're not teaching our children the skills that we need, which is patience, which is understanding, which is, unfortunately, sometimes all things don't have to be said, because you don't know how some people are going to react, because you don't know people's pathways, right? So yeah, it's an interesting time that we are living in. And I'm going to say this, I know at my 50 years of life, I am assured that every generation of folks from eon out, we're like, this is an interesting time that we're living in. I'm sure Adam and Eve was like, this is an interesting time that we're living in. But it truly is. I was sharing that last night or yesterday, before I fell all the way out and crashed out, as the young people say, I read an article that I was like, wait, what? So, do y'all remember Publishing Clearinghouse? And if you're not familiar, if you're unfamiliar, Publishing Clearinghouse back in the day was like the sweepstake thing of upper echelon, right? You knew that you could, it was Powerball before Powerball, where you could win this huge amount of money, or you could get money sent to you like every week, like it was like $5,000 weekly, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's the interesting thing. Guess what? Publisher Clearinghouse is broke. It is going bankrupt, which is wild work. Like they literally have like, I think I read it was like $89 million sitting in the bank. And you're like, well, wait a minute, that's a lot of money. It is. However, not when you have to pay out $5,000 to hundreds of people weekly. And let me be clear, the way that they abundantly raised so much money, it was by magazine ads, right? Everyone wanted to buy a magazine because of that money got put into the pot and all over the nation. And so that's how it was. That was the business model. Guess what people don't do? Buy magazines anymore, or not paper magazines, but digital magazines, right? So I don't know why they didn't change their, business model, but yeah, they are doing, it's changing for them. Thought it was just interesting. I thought that was like, huh, what? But I digress, because I find it really fascinating. That Publishers Clearinghouse could be going bankrupt. It's just an interesting thing that we see every day as we are moving through all of the shenanigans and challenges of life. And so I wanted to share that with you all to say that things never stay constant. I mean, Publishers Clearinghouse has been around for 20, 30 years, maybe longer than that. And sometimes things never stay stagnant enough. We are always in an evolutionary phase, even if it doesn't feel that way. And be mindful of that. And if you are not the person that likes to change and grow, let me tell you something. The world is going to keep spinning. I need you to spin with it. You don't have to spin fast, but I need you to spin with it. We also have the US Open. Y'all hold me accountable, because I want to say to y'all that next year in all my travels, I need to pop up one day one day at the US Open because I just love me some tennis. I have learned to love tennis a little bit more. I hope that you guys have too. And if you're watching, we also have conflict at the US Open where people are causing people or calling people racist names or whatever. But I do want to say this, that over here in my world, language is super important. And I want to say that because when we, and I'm not, and let me just say, I'm not defending this young woman, and I'm not even going to be able to pronounce her name, but y'all know the conflict that I'm talking about, that when we have people of different nations come together and people who learn English differently, translations are never the same. And I discovered, because there was a big not glow up, but big cacophony of, oh my gosh, she said she lacks manners. I think it was Coco. And it wasn't the word translated. It wasn't, I'm sorry. I got it wrong. Y'all, I lied. Let me take a sip of coffee. We're gonna talk about this again. Oh. All right, rewind, start all over. So that was a blow up around the word education. And like I said, when we translate words, every word is not a one-to-one direct translation. Ask me how I know this, because I have books that are about to be translated into other languages and it is not working. It's not fitting, but I point that out because I think as Americans, we need to understand that our English is not everyone else's English. Point of contention. Can we just talk about that for a minute? And we need to understand that the words that are utilized sometimes don't match the intention. I just want to say that to you all because this is important. You all need to start learning and practicing this. Because the young lady who used the word education, the actual translation of that word was manners. I don't know if that makes it any more slight, but I just want to use that. I want to use that. And then last but not least, and hey, y'all, I forgot to say good morning to Yoruba, my favorite sister girl. So Yoruba, I'm going to talk about this one last story because I thought it was scandalous. And I was like, Lord, and then we're going to bring on our awesome guest this morning. I could probably do an entire show on the trifling of this story. But if you had ever watched and followed the YSL RICO trial that was here in Atlanta, can I just tell you, I hope people have money. Let me just say this, because one of the criminal defense attorneys is now pregnant by one of the young man that she was representing. And she said it was a love story of all ages. I see your face. I saw you, Jamie. I saw you, girl. Right. We all over here like, huh? And Jamie's backstage, y'all. So I beat that like, what? I need to talk about this because let me tell you something. When you work in close proximity to people, it is more than likely that you will begin having some type of feelings, emotions in regards to this person. But I just want to say that this is wild. Her name is Kayla Bumpus. So she is a grown woman, y'all, and his name is Shannon Jackson Stillwell. Like, this brother could have went to jail for like 30 something plus years because of the drugs, the murders, all of the things that they were accused of. And she says this: while our roles were very different, we are thankful that our worlds collided. Where they collided at? Behind the table in the courtroom? What is she talking about? Okay. God is still working on me, y'all. God is still working on me. But she calls it a true Atlanta love story. And she said the baby is almost here. Now, I'm not championing that the sister girl might lose her law license. But I did find it very interesting because, like, he's got to pay her, or pay her law firm or the firm that she was with, because she did ask for the registry on Amazon, that if we all wanted to help buy stuff for the baby, we could. Mm, mm, mm. That is, yeah. So the one of the defense attorneys is pregnant by one of the people that she. All right, Yoruba, let's take a break. And on the other side, we are going to discuss some information because I want to talk about how important this month is. Yeah, because it is Suicide Prevention Month, and we are going to have some interesting conversations about this month from a different perspective and see if we can get people some help before we move forward. One day forward, we have these conversations. So we are going to roll right through, and I'll see you all on the other side.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Well, good morning. If you are joining, we are back. I am back. The Conflict Whisperer Show is back. My name is Kiddada Asmara Grey, and I am your Conflict Whisperer. And today's topic, after my rant in the first part of the show, it's a blend of stuff. And so I want to chat with you all for a second about this topic because this is a very interesting topic, near and dear to my heart. And it should be near and dear to the hearts of everyone in the entire world. So September is Suicide Prevention Month. And Suicide Prevention Month started in 2008. Now, this is important to note because it was, don't ask me why they picked the month of September. It is what it is, but it's to acknowledge people who have been affected by suicide, raise awareness, and connect individuals with suicidal ideations to treatment and services. Now, let me just say this. An ideation means that you have thoughts. You might be thinking about it. You might want to move towards it. You might be testing it on occasion. And so it's Suicide Prevention Month. And most of us would go, yay! And we go, yay, and celebrate because we'd say, yes, it is an opportunity to raise awareness, which is a good thing. And let's be clear, let's be honest. It's not like people aren't aware that suicide is a thing, but they may not know all the details. So I hope that with programming and so forth, that people are actually taking it upon themselves to do a little research, to learn a little bit more, to educate themselves about this. Now, the other day, I was reading a story, and I think it's from The Mighty. And let me just say this, I always have two computers, so it's on my other laptop, so I couldn't find the story. You know how you do something on one side and then the other side, and then this side, I couldn't find it. So it's on the other laptop, and I didn't have time this morning to go run and get it. But I think it's from One of my favorite websites is someone who suffers from autoimmune diseases called The Mighty. And they do a fantastic job giving the perspective of people who suffer from chronic illness, suicide, all kinds of things, depression, all of these things. And there was a young woman who wrote an article about looking at this particular month, this particular awareness month from a different lens. And she discussed what the challenge was like watching this occur since 2008, when she has suffered from her own suicide ideations and the struggles that it is for her for 30 days. Hearing this discussed, because it's like, are we raising awareness or are we actually re-traumatizing people? And it really raised I was like, wait a minute, I never thought about this before, because I'm of the nature, like, give people the information so they can go and resolve the challenges that they're having, or resolve some challenges, or be a resource for other people, because I like to be a resource, just like a lot of you like to be as well. And it made me pause. It really made me pause. And as the young folk said, it made me feel some kind of way. Because I was just like, oh gosh, I don't want to traumatize people because they can't hide from it, right? Because this young woman spoke about the fact that people call her for interviews because she's a writer. People want to know. And the question is, should we want to know why people have suicidal ideations? And I was like, that's weird. That's weird. And I'm grateful for her. I'm grateful for anyone that feels like they have, quote unquote, healed enough to come out and speak about this journey that they've been on, because I feel like they are one of the greatest speakers of truth to kind of remove that layer of secrecy and shame behind hiding, really hiding behind the cover of what I call the cover of darkness. When it comes to suicide. And let me just state that people just don't wake up and say, I'm going to commit suicide. And I'm going to pause here and say, I'm a conflict coach. I am trained in a lot of things, but I am not a therapist, y'all. So I can only give you this information from the highest level, and only things that I have suffered from myself. And I want to be clear about that. And at the end of this, I will make sure that you guys have the most powerful number, one of the most powerful numbers that you can use if you are suffering from some of these ideations. But we need to take a step back, because this does not just start because we wake up in the morning. It usually begins with depression, and everyone knows that word, depression. And around the world, millions and millions of people suffer from depression. And I want to just share that specifically with some statistics in the United States, right? Depression is the most common form of mental illness in the United States. So, and here's the interesting thing. At some point in time, we have all suffered from depression, some form of depression. And so, to give you some statistics, in the United States alone, 21 million adults suffer from, that's about 8%. 8%. 21 million. Only know me, myself, and my small crew. 21 million of people. Now, here's what's more alarming to me, that 15% of youth between the ages of 12 to 17, they suffer from depression. That's 3.7. Our babies. And I didn't even do a deep dive, based on race, because I can tell you, just because I've had this conversation on a previous podcast, that young Black men, actually from the ages of 12 to 25, they're the fastest growing number of young men that moved out of depression all the way into suicidal actions. Just so you know, if you're like, okay, it's only so-and-so. No, let me tell you, 5% of men in the United States suffer from depression. And hold on to your wigs, hold on to your crochets, hold on to everything. Because 36.7% of women, it's too early for that number. 36.7% of women suffer from depression. That's crazy. But that also speaks to what we carry on our shoulders. And I do want to say, I do believe that the number for men is a lot higher. Men just don't discuss it. Men just don't share it. And women, we talk about it. We're going to talk about it to the nth degree. And I want to say that these issues, the reasons why are massive, but they all fall in the same category of whether it's individual challenges, community challenges, societal challenges. This morning, I just perusing Facebook, a friend of mine posted, hey, you guys check in. Did a little hard thing, check in. We got so much going on in the world, people losing their jobs, political stuff, all kinds of, you name it. And said, tell me where you're at. And so many people were like, I'm just depressed. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm over here, like, I'm just at peace and I'm tired. And people are like, I am depressed. And depression feels like a heaviness on your system. It's a fog that you cannot seem to get yourself out of. That is one of the most basic explanations. And I will utilize that and utilize my best I statements because that's what I have suffered through. And just to give you a measure of the different types of depression, like I suffer from something called SAD, and that's called seasonal affective disorder. And if you know me, like I am a sun girl. Listen, September 21st, 22nd, it's going to be a hard time getting me up in the middle of the morning when there's no more sun outside. I need sunlight to thrive. I'm like a little flower over here. And so a lot of people suffer from that. And I was diagnosed way back in 2007 because I relocated to Georgia from Colorado, and Colorado has over 300 days of sunlight. And in Atlanta, I didn't know where the hell the sun went. I was like, if it rains one more day. But I just want to say this to you all, that depression is mental and physical. So some people feel it in their body, and I felt it in both places. And then we all hear the word bipolar. We also might be familiar with postnatal depression. That means the mommies that give birth. And then we see that if they're not, if they don't have therapy or someone to talk to, that could have huge consequences as well. And I just, on the show, I like to say, let's just tell the truth and let's be open about things. And it is a real challenge to be revealing, and especially in the United States. I'm not going to talk about any other culture, because in the United States, there seems to be a prevailing culture of just pull yourself up from the bootstraps. And if you followed me from way back when, we actually know that that phrase is false. The man never said that, but we're still going to use it. It sounds good. It really sounds good. That means that we don't need any assistance. We can do it all on our own. And that's a lie. Nobody does anything on their own. Never. Everyone always needs assistance. And I believe the moment that we move ourselves out of that thought process, we can lift a lot of our struggles off of our systems and out of our minds. And before we get to our wonderful guest, Miss Jaimie Bullock, who's going to talk about Konnect MD, which I called a revolutionary healthcare solution. A revolutionary healthcare solution. I had to pause for a second because I know what it can do. And I didn't want to make this kind of like a selling thing, but we do have an opportunity here, though, inside of Suicide Prevention Month to get access for people to speak to other people who really need help, right? Because one of the things in the United States, I don't know about anything else, in the United States, to get to speak to a therapist could take months, y'all. And people are struggling. People want their voices to be heard. And I'm a big fan of get it out your system. You have to I'm a big fan of talk therapy. I'm a big fan of go speak to a coach. Because if you need to get it out, get it out. But I want to say and uplift this number just so to give you guys, this is not for play, people. Like, people's lives are on the line. And we should have a value to the human spirit and to the human body. In 2022, because research is never by the year, I just want to let y'all know that research is never by the year. So it's 2025, where the research statistics are coming out for 2022, 2023. But in 2022, 49,476 people in the United States died by suicide. Though there's 49,476 families that are still suffering with the loss of their family members. There's communities that are missing people who could have just soared into greatness. There's mommies and daddies who are missing their children. And let's not even discuss these last two. And I don't know if you saw it in the last couple of weeks, there have been some suicides that have been wrapped around and interconnected with AI. That is just even wilder. So now we have this connection with computers, which is wild work. So I'm not leaving that on a low note. I want to give you guys the perspective of we should have value to the human spirit, the human body, the physical. We should have value, as well as have a high acknowledgement and awareness of the fact that how we talk about this work of Suicide Prevention Month, to know that there's a sensitivity that needs to occur to people who have suffered through this, who have the ideations, or who have had the ideations, and they still need assistance. And that's why I have my beautiful sister. Let me tell y'all something. Miss Jaimie Bullock, we met back in June by happenstance. June, you all, and she's been my little light-skinned sister girl ever since. Oh my goodness, I love her so much. So Miss Jaimie, welcome to the Conflict Whisperers show. And I never tell anyone stories. I like people to tell their own stories, because, you know, when you tell your own stories, that's where the power is. But that's a whole old African proverb. And so welcome to the Conflict Whisperer this morning at 7 a.m. And you're looking cute, makeup done, earrings.
Thank you.
Earrings popping. I was talking and I was like, wait a minute, I caught those earrings. And I was like,
yeah, it's Suicide Prevention Month, so we're here to share a little love.
That's right. That's right.
What the world needs.
So, sister, introduce yourself.
Absolutely. I'm Jaimie Bullock. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a mom first. Some people know me as the Mama Bullock. And that is because I just the spirit that I have. I'm a nurturer. I'm an automatic protector. I want to woo everybody, and I've been that way from a very young age. I truly love people, and I have a deep spirit of empathy. And I also have two business partners that I birthed that are usually with me. So when you've got, 3 Bullocks running around, that's the mama, is how I get described. I've done a lot of different things. I turned 42 this year, so I've been on somewhat of a journey so far. I do a lot of different things, but I'm definitely a big advocate for mental health and for suicide prevention, because of how it's touched me personally, which we'll get into. And I do a lot of other things. I work with Dr. Casual Pitts in the Healthcare Revolutionary Company that's a solution, and is breaking barriers to making sure everybody has access to healthcare, which we'll go into. I also work with him on a reality TV show called The Real Entrepreneur. The season reunion for season 3 is Friday, so I work with him on that. Also on the Entrepreneur Empire, which is where he does mentoring, coaching, an award show, all kind of stuff. I've been on a board of directors for domestic violence victims, which is another thing that can tap into suicide prevention and people just feeling like they have no other options or way out. So I've done a lot of things, volunteer ministry, a couple of other things, but the main reason I'm here today is because of the love. The love.
That's right.
We want to share some love because, as you said earlier, there's so many people feeling weighed down. Some of them understand reasons or can pinpoint the reasons why. A lot of them don't know why they have this heavy, overwhelming feeling, but they can't seem to get rid of it, which is not just sadness. And that's when it goes into depression. So born and raised here in Georgia, I talk a lot. So being up on a podcast early just to talk was not a problem for me. And I feel really honored and blessed. Thank you so much for letting me come on with you, Kiddada. You have been an amazing person in addition to my life since I met you. I'm very grateful and do have to give a shout out to Miss Tiasha Bryant, Doctor, excuse me, now that she has graduated. Dr. Tiasha, put some respect on her name. Dr. Tiasha Bryant, who is the reason that I was introduced to you. She actually referred you as one of the podcasters who might be interested in the show, and that is how we have connected and stayed connected ever since. So thank you so much for having me on.
I have not been invited to the show yet. I think I look cute enough to be on the show, but I don't know. It's okay.
I think you do, and I think we've already got some things in works for you now that Doc got a chance to meet you, and Dr. Casual Pitts is so passionate about entrepreneurs and mental health. He definitely was excited to connect with you, and we got some things in the work. The work is not done for the year at all. We'll be casting later next month, so be on the lookout for the phone calls and the emails.
That's when I'll stop answering my phone, y'all. Like,
unavailable.
I'm not coming. Oh no, my phone died that day. So I love when I have guests on because we all interact and we have conversation, and then it's like, wait a minute, I didn't know that about her. I didn't know you did domestic violence work too, and that's something that we also have in common. And so can I ask if you would mind sharing your own mental health journey or where you have lived in this space?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because most of you are. Yeah, because most of you are, who is this woman talking? And let me give you some background. And I want to follow your lead. I can only speak from my experience. I, again, am not a therapist, but mental health has been a humongous part of my life. So my journey with mental health started at a very young age because we knew that Dad struggled all the time. He struggled with different things as a child. You don't know the names of it, but you can tell when the vibe shifts or when something's off and it just doesn't feel the same. So my father battled all my life with depression, with things that come as a result of depression, people trying to self-medicate. He would drink and then he was sober for years and years and years. And then when the depression would get too heavy, and as a man, we've already talked about, it's harder for them to reach out for whatever reason it is, the stigma in society, especially a Black man.
Right.
The weight of the world on his shoulders, 6'5", bodybuilder, looked like an Apollo Creed, supersized. Everybody thought he was Carl Weathers when we went out in Atlanta. I remember an actual experience of somebody coming up and asking my father for an autograph, thinking that he was Apollo Creed, and he signed it, took the picture with him, and was like, if it makes them happy, so sorry to whoever that is. But he was my Superman. He was the strongest man you knew, capable of everything, family man, married, 3 little girls, came from a family of 7, but he struggled his whole life with mental health. So I knew as I got older, some of it started getting explained. And when he'd go to the doctors and he would talk about, you're just going to have to be patient with Dad today. And it wasn't actually discussed in the way that I think it could have been. But we all, in different generations embrace, what we learn and what we experience to make sure the next generation is better informed. So mental health was introduced to me through my father's struggles and my own struggles. At 17, I started having erratic behavior. It was about 17, 18. First crush, first heartbreak, first introduction to alcohol that I had no business doing. But this person that I thought I cared about had introduced me to alcohol, and he was much older than me. I was 18. He was much older than me. And the first episode that I had was what I would call a manic break. I just was not thinking clearly. I didn't want to be here anymore. again, at a young age, I just didn't know how to process stuff. So there was an episode where I had my first thing of self-harm. I had a mole on my arm that they did surgery on. They removed the mole. It was in the front of my arm here. There's still a little bit of a scar right there, but had the mole removed. And then after this situation started where I thought I was in love, thought I was going to leave and live happily ever after with this person who was not the person I thought they were. Had alcohol given to me at a very young age, away from my parents. They were out of town. And that was my first time with self-harm. When he told me he didn't want to be with me, an argument ensued. I locked myself in a bathroom and took a screwdriver and tried to rip the stitches out of my arm.
Oh, wow.
And trigger warning, because I do want to acknowledge that some people cannot hear experiences about mental health. So and it will not get very, very deep. I don't want to traumatize anybody, but I do believe that somebody has to shout for those that can't shout for themselves, or give their experience to hopefully prevent somebody else. If at this point in your healing journey, it is not good for your mental health to hear about mental health experiences, about suicide experiences or suicide ideation, please do not listen to it. If this is not good for you at this point, this is a trigger warning. We do not want to cause any harm. We are here to spread love, give awareness, give real life experiences, and give resources, most importantly, help, so that nobody else has to go through these things or feel like self-harm or suicide or a lack of help is what their reality is. There is help out there. You are not the only one going through it. So if this is not something that is going to be good for your mind, your mental state, at this point, know that we love you and please bow out, because we are not here to re-traumatize. And I had never heard of the perspective you gave of somebody feeling like it was re-traumatizing for them. Right. So now that when you know better, you do better. Now that I know of that, please, if this is not for you, there is help out there. We want to give you nothing but love, and we do not want to deter your healing journey. So if this is not for you, please bow out.
You are adulting so well this morning. Thank you for adulting so well and bringing that up. But it's important. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Important. Yeah. So in the self-harm thing that I had, I was so young and immature and obviously intoxicated for the first time ever. I tried to rip the stitches out, thinking in my mind from movies and stuff, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to, do something with my wrist. It wasn't even the right side. It was the front of my wrist. But I did do some, just young and dumb. But did do some self-harm. They had to break the bathroom down, the bathroom door down and get me out of that situation. And when my mother came home and found out about it, she did what she knew was best. She took me to a location to try to get evaluated. So I was evaluated with depression and a manic episode at 18, where that happened, got some medication. They tried different things and got put on medication. So my mental health journey started at 18, where I realized that my brain didn't process emotions the proper way. There was a chemical imbalance there. When things got bad, it was, the carpet had been pulled out from underneath me, the spiraling and the world ending and just feeling like there was nowhere to grab for hope or help. And so that's how it felt for me at 18, and got therapy, got medication and found out I've had different diagnoses through my life. So that's where my mental health journey stopped. So, and it will continue. Right. So I'm qualified to speak about my own experiences with mental health, which have been several, and I'm qualified to speak about the effect of mental health on family members, because I had a father that I lost 2 weeks before I had my son. So my father committed suicide actually this weekend. 22 years ago. It's been 22 years. It was on September 2nd that he disappeared. It was on September 4th that we found him. So this weekend is appropriate for me to be in here and trying to help anybody that may need the information.
So thank you for sharing, because I just want to say thank you to your mother for having the wherewithal to know that her child needed help. And to have an intervention. Thank you for her even finding the resources, right, to take you to that next level. because I just want to say in African American and Black families, mental health care is usually at the lowest, at the bottom of the list of things that we push for in our homes. But when, like you said, when we know better, we do better, right?
Yeah.
And so, and my condolences to your daddy, because I can't imagine not knowing what it, for 22 years of life, that is literally your whole womanhood, right?
Yeah.
And more to come without this man that loves you. And I have to have a check-in point to make sure that you are okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
If
Okay.
I'm sure at some point I'll tear up, but the strength I feel now, I literally thought about it yesterday. I had him less years in my life. I've been without him longer than I had him, because I turned 42. I was 20, 20 and a half when I had my son. So I have literally gotten to the point where I've lived longer without him than I have with him, which was a weird thing to swallow.
Yeah.
But it has been something that has affected my life for 22 years. That you learn to cope, you learn to go on, but the lasting effects of that one act shifted my entire life, and it still does to this day. It still does. There was
I can imagine.
Yeah, there was a breakdown yesterday, and it always happens when September starts to come. I start feeling more anxious. I start feeling a little bit more overwhelmed and a little bit more emotional, until I realize our body remembers trauma even when we don't.
Yes.
So it helps to know where it's coming from, and then I can process it and use my coping mechanisms I've learned. But
You said,
it's definitely been something that's affected my life. And my father was African American. This light skin shade came from my Caucasian mother. So just look out there. I'm also qualified to speak about both races. I'll play the black or the white card whenever I need to. So it was something that it transcends race, gender, age. Suicide and mental health doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter your religious upbringing. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. It doesn't matter, if you came from a great home, if you have a good life. Mental health doesn't discriminate. So it affects all races. It affects all ages. It affects all genders and walks of life. If you've got a lot of money, they still end up, sometimes taking their own life. If you're really, really poor, it none of that matters. It's something that is sincerely a worldwide issue. And so just to put it out there, this is something for everybody, because everybody deserves to feel like their life matters, and everybody deserves to have a resource or a place to go when their mind is telling them that they're not worth being here anymore, or the pain is so bad they can't feel like they can take it anymore. Whichever the reason is, I definitely have a hashtag I've used for years, that suicide is never the answer. And so that's my biggest word of the day or theme, is for you to always know that suicide is never, ever the answer. There is always help. There is always a better option than suicide.
You said something, and before we get to one of the best fantastic resources I believe that's now on the market or in the world, I just want to say that you mentioned about being 17, 18 years old and not the overwhelm of emotions when it comes to heartbreak, right? Because there's a lot of people in the world that don't believe mental health is a thing.
Yeah.
Right? They don't believe it at all.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that when little kids don't understand emotional regulation, but not only that, but we have been designed and created to be beyond just the happy and sad emotions of our lives, right? And we should know by now that the suck it up mentality doesn't work.
No.
Can I say that again? Telling someone to suck it up doesn't work.
Snap out of it.
Especially to men. And so individuals who are children who move into adulthood without understanding that there are more than one or two emotions in this world, right? Or maybe three, because people understand anger. they carry this, and it is included in your body systems. It is included in your mental health. That's one reason why women are at 36.7%, because it manifests itself as an autoimmune disease. Most people don't know that. And so I wanted to acknowledge that, because we need to be aware. There's a whole emotional wheel, y'all. Go look up the emotion wheel, and print it. Put it on the refrigerator. Carry it on your phone, because there's so many emotions out here that we need to know how to navigate through. And so we're here in 2025, and I'm going to assume that in 2024, 2023, you started learning some new things. And so tell us about Konnect MD.
Absolutely.
What is this Konnect MD that you were talking about, that you wanted to share with the listening audience?
Absolutely. So my struggles with mental health and my father's involved what you said. Trying to get to a doctor, trying to have the funds to get to the doctor. First of all, having the awareness that a doctor is needed, regardless of what kind of doctor it is. Something is not right. I cannot fix this on my own. And I believe in prayer. I believe in a lot of things, but there are certain things in life that require another touch point to get you calibrated. Just like if the car stops and you need gas, that's fine, but the car may stop because the starter stopped. There's different things that you need. So just filling it up with gas isn't always going to make the car go. It's the same thing with us. You can have love, you can have prayer, you can have whatever your holding points are for your life and your beliefs, but there will always be times in our life where we need a specific form of assistance. So for my father and myself, trying to get that, I was 18, so I was no longer on my parents' insurance. She had to go through a county program to get me into a county program and kind of get me to agree to go there without scaring me into what it was. And so that was an issue in both of our circumstances, my father and myself. And for the people that I know and love, which have ranged from very, very young ages to much older, they all have had the same barrier or obstacle, trying to get the help. Knowing you need the help is always going to be the first step. But trying to actually get that help, and sometimes that first step takes a lot. So when you finally are like, okay, I need to see somebody, delaying it, making it harder when you already have more on you than you can bear, can literally be a life thing, a life or death matter. The faster somebody can get access to the help they need when they make the decision to accept help is very crucial. It's so crucial, because 2 days later, well, I feel better, I'll shake it off. And like you said, you don't just wake up and say, I don't want to be here anymore. That suicide thoughts are allowed to plant, to root, to flash back. You want to get them to get them treated as soon as possible. So this amazing service, I always say, maybe my father would still be here if this service was around at the time. There is a healthcare revolutionary company. And again, this is not a selling point. This is a resource for you guys to know that it's out there. This company is called Konnect MD. The origin of the company is amazing, because it was born out of the love. The founder's name is Jason Padgett. He was an actor in Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. He was one of the high school bullies in the scene, but he stayed in Hollywood for a while, got into medical companies. And he had access doctors in his phone, because he had that level of people around him. So when his daughter got strep, he went to the urgency care and sat for a couple of hours. There's still 6 or 7 people in front of him. He's like, I'm not doing this no more. I know what it is. She's had it before. Calls a doctor friend, gets a prescription, and gets it called in, no problem. And he was like, everybody should be able to do this. It's not, it's great that I have it for my family, but what about the other families I saw sitting? He has a heart of empathy for sure. The next experience that kind of birthed this company is he was sitting at a table with another mother, and the baby had a cough, the young child. And it wasn't just, your cold cough. Y'all know those deep, croupy coughs where it's like, oh my God, get her to a doctor before this gets worse. Right. And he was like, gosh, she sounds really bad. You got to get her to a doctor. And the mother looked at him and with that look in her eyes said, I can feed her or I can take her to the doctor. And that's the reality for so many people, whether it's regular medical problems, mental health problems. There are too many people that don't have access to healthcare. And so that is how he birthed the company. Nobody should have to decide between feeding their child and getting their child medical assistance. So he came up with a company that is not insurance. A lot of the barriers that people have is the insurance is too expensive. Even if you can get it, most of it's trash. They want you to pay every single month, and then they want you to pay a deductible, and then they want you to pay a copay, and then they want you to wait to get on the waiting list. And trying to get to healthcare should not be that hard. So he tried to remove all of those barriers. So this is not insurance. This is a healthcare concierge membership. The best part about it is it doesn't matter your age, your income, your race, your location in the U.S. states or U.S. territories. There are absolutely no denials and no requirements. It is literally for everybody, which is good enough on its own. The next thing that he made sure of is that you weren't locked in. People's circumstances change, especially in this economy. They're worried about a job, the rent increases, so there's no contracts. There's no denials, no requirements, and no contracts. You can literally do this on a month-by-month basis. It's kind of like the Netflix of healthcare. So it's a monthly membership. Every single plan that they have is under $100. They start out with 3 plans. There's one that's $60 a month, one that's $80 a month, and one that's $100 a month. And the reason I bring up that is because it's affordable. It's not free and it's not insurance, but it is affordable and it is for everybody. And it is something that you can get on a monthly basis. So Konnect MD offers some things that are needed and covers the most important main points. Number one, you can get access to a doctor no matter where you are. It is a telehealth, so you can, the same way you're on your phone scrolling Netflix, the same way you order DoorDash, the same way you check your bank balance. It's designed to be what we're already using all of the time. So you can have unlimited urgent care visits with a physician. You can get up to 1,000 prescriptions for free, and that's acute and chronic meds. So if you get sick, the flu's going around the house, or if you just need an antibiotic, instead of going to the urgent care, snatching the kids up in the middle of the night, having to wait, or worse, having absolutely no medical access and no money. So you have to go to the ER and sit for 10 hours just to get some amoxicillin because that's your only option to get it. That there's so many people flooding our ERs just to see a regular doctor for a regular problem because they can't afford to go. This eliminates that. So you get unlimited doctor visits, you can get free prescriptions, and most importantly, out of love, Jason made sure that you can add 7 people for free that are 25 years or younger. So a family of 8 can be covered on their doctor visits, their prescriptions for $100 a month. There's so many people that have insurance, but I can only afford to, and what parent wants to be in that position? I can only afford to add my kid who's got the worst allergies and needs a dermatologist. And the other kids, I just got to pray and hope they don't get sick, or, keep them on Robitussin and hot teas. It's something that engulfs the whole family. The best part, and to get back to the purpose of the show, is mental health is included. Anybody 12 years of age and above, and the younger, he made sure that, again, it's in the best interest of people. Anybody younger than 12, the mental health, they need to see somebody and be able to interact with them at a younger age. It's a little bit deeper, but if you're 12 and above, the mental health is unlimited. It's free and it's immediate. The mental health and the doctor visits, everything with Konnect MD is 24/7, 365 days a year. So if your child has a breakdown like I did, instead of my mother trying to keep me calm and keep me in the house and make sure that I didn't run away or having another, episode, she had other children to worry about, a husband to worry about. She could have literally called and sat on the phone with me with a therapist. I could have called a therapist. You can call them twice a day, 3 times a day. It doesn't matter. And they are all qualified, certified physicians. And so the mental health is there. They can do 6 weeks of coping skills. It doesn't matter if it's just anxiety. It does not have to be depression. It does not have to be suicide ideation. It can be, I'm looking for a job and I'm getting frustrated and
Right.
anxious. How do I keep a positive attitude? It can be, this marriage is taking more than I've got to give, and me and my husband need marriage counseling. It can be, I have a business and I've been struggling. Sorry about that. Been struggling as an entrepreneur for, a year and a half, and I don't know what else to do. Or I'm in debt. I don't know how to get out of. There's financial counseling, there's life coaching, there's a specified physician and therapist and counselor for whatever it may be. It may just be a bad day and I need to talk to somebody. But all of that is provided through Konnect MD. And again, it can cover up to a family of 8. The most expensive plan is $100 a month. So the help for somebody who needs immediate access, especially our young people. School just started back. The bullying, the amount of kids who don't know what it is that's really wrong with them or how they're feeling, but you can tell something's not right. Not all kids want to talk to their parents, even if they feel comfortable, even if it's a good environment. There are so many people, men, women, and children, that hold on to things out of fear of people judging them, out of fear of people, labeling them. All of those stigmas disappear when you don't even have to pull up in the parking lot of the therapist. You can literally lay on your pillow and call and talk to somebody for help. It removes so many barriers. If the gas money isn't there, like she said, I can either feed her or I can take her to the doctor. It's like, well, I can either pay the copay or I can put gas in the car to get to the copay, doctor's office. It removes all of those barriers. If you can get to a phone, a library, you don't even have to have service on your phone. If you've got an old phone with no service and can get to somewhere with a Wi-Fi, you can get help. It's all through the telehealth portal, and it's there for every age, everybody, 24/7, 365.
So you know that there will be people, and let me just say, you all, I love this. If nothing else, more for the mental health side of this, because I feel like the ability to be private in your conversations about your challenges, it's a gift. And I think that that's important to note. However, let me say, there's always going to be skeptics. There's always going to be people that are just like, wait, what do you mean? What's the catch, right? Because what I initially thought about was this idea of chronic medication. Like if you have a chronic illness and there's certain, you and I both know that there's some Schedule C drugs out there. There's some drugs that, I know there's some drugs that I have to take. There's one particular drug that I have to take that I need to go see my doctor for. And it's just a check-in moment, and I'm still unclear why it is that people get addicted to it, but okay. But it is what it is, right? So how do you, in your understanding of the Konnect MD product, how do you explain that to people to say, like, this is just not a pop-up shop for any drug that you ever want?
No, and because again, Jason bore this out of love, but respects the medical community, has followed all HIPAA laws. Everything is private. Each member gets a private portal that follows all HIPAA laws. So every single individual would have their own medical history, even if you're on the same membership. Unless it's a minor, then obviously the parent would have access to that minor's portal. But everybody has their own private portal. And because there are people who will take advantages of things like this, if it is a Schedule C or a drug that has the potential, there are some physicians on the program that can write that. The most expensive plan that we have is the $100 plan. They call it the Platinum plan. On that, you can get a primary care physician where you can see the exact same doctor every single time. You can fill your prescriptions, even if it is Schedule C, some of them. You would have to check them individually, which you can do. There's a formulary in Konnect MD that lists the medications that they have. So literally before you get it, you can actually check to see if your medication is covered. But the primary care physician, if your prescription is written by another doctor and on the formulary, they can fill it for the free, if it's on those thousand lists. So for the acute medicine, there's 37 prescriptions that you can get that are absolutely free. When you get into the chronic medications, your diabetes medications, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, all the things I'm on, a lot of those medications, the chronic medications, there's over 1,000 that are on there. The ones that may not be on there will be your Schedule C. There are some doctors in Konnect MD that can write it, but they are nowhere near as many of the physicians that are not willing to touch it when I can't see you or know you or have a relationship with you, out of concern for the abuse of the drug. So some of them are on there, some of them are not. If it is not on the formulary, then there is a discount that you can get on the drug. But there are some that are not covered. There are a lot of cancer medications that are covered, but some of the Schedule C, you may have to see an actual doctor. If there is a doctor in there that can do that, we can search and help you find some, but those are less in the Konnect MD program, because again, all HIPAA laws and all concerns are to make sure that people don't abuse the system.
Yeah.
And so those are, and there's just a lot of physicians that kind of have a caution tape around it because of the issues that have come about it, because of how people have learned to work the system. There's some doctors who are even allowed to write it that just prefer not to do it from a telehealth standpoint.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like all of those safeguards. And I want to let everyone know listening that this is utilized and can be utilized across the nation.
Yeah.
And in some of our little island nations that we own in the United States.
Yeah.
As well as I think that it just, this can give a sigh of relief.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can use it in every state. And so it's perfect for people that travel. We were traveling to New Orleans for a convention with Dr. Casual Pitts. His eyes started bothering him. We were in New Orleans. We're based here in Georgia. When he got to New Orleans, he called Konnect MD, had a doctor on the phone within 10, 15 minutes, had his prescription called in. So you can use this no matter what state you live in. The services are provided in every single state. You call into whatever pharmacy is closest to you, and you can use that. Also the U.S. territories, so like your Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. There are Spanish services that are also available. So we can service the Spanish community. And the other thing that I want to make very, very clear is that, again, there's no contract. So if you get to a certain season where, I get sick every year, the same time of year, when I catch it, then my husband catches it, and then the kids catch it, and then you can use it. And I don't recommend it. I'm sure the company is preferring everybody to keep their membership, but they understand that things come up. If the transmission breaks down this month and you need to put that extra $100 towards getting the car fixed, the membership has no contract, so you're able to use that how you want to. And if you are not a person who likes, I don't want a pill, I want to get my health back right, I want to let my natural body do this, I want to use the things that grow from the earth, they have holistic and alternative doctors as well. So they're not trying to just shove a pill down your throat. You have the option to speak with certified, credible, holistic and alternative medicine doctors as well. So if you prefer that, that is another thing that they offer, including dermatology. My daughter has extreme eczema. She waited 3 months as an established patient to try to get her refill. She called Konnect MD, and within the same day she had her prescriptions called in. So dermatology is available for the entire family. You do get 2 blood draws, labs a year that come in to make sure those are free, to make sure that there's not something they're missing to keep you completely treated. They have men's health that is on there. They also have message specialists. There's 12 different specialists that as a member, you can go on and simply chat with and talk to them to see where you need to go and what needs to happen. And a referral is needed for you to go outside, you can. I also want to never suggest that therapy is the only way to do it on telehealth. If you are a person who needs that human connection, who I prefer to speak with somebody, I need the energy and the exchange, and you prefer to see a mental health counselor in person, that is an option. You can do that with their mental health counseling. It does not have to be just telehealth. You can pick and choose if you want that to be a private matter, on your phone in your own home, or if you want to go into an actual location, you can do that with Konnect MD, and it is still covered.
Girl, you done said a word all explained it thoroughly. And I am proud to say, you all, that I am now an agent because I
Yes,
believe in this so very much. And I know way too many people in our communities that need an additional, right?
yeah,
Additional. And sometimes this might be the sole thing because you can utilize this on top of your regular insurance.
absolutely.
But the reality of the situation is that there's a lot of people getting kicked off of Medicaid, Medicare,
Mm-hmm.
the
Absolutely.
state services, state health care, or
Yeah.
just simply can't afford it. Because who can afford $1,000 a month, right?
For just the premium,
Just
and
the
then to still have to pay for your copays and your deductibles and
right.
your prescriptions.
Whew.
And so we always say we never encourage anybody to cancel their insurance. This is not major medical. Again, it's not insurance. This is that healthcare access for anybody and everybody, whether you have insurance or not, to make it easier, to make it faster. Everything we did in COVID was telehealth. They wouldn't even let us come in. As bad as COVID was, they were diagnosing it over the phone.
Right.
And so the world has shifted and changed. It's definitely moving in a different direction. Like you mentioned, the AI suicides and people trying to talk to Chat GPT for therapy and the dangers that can come from that.
We're gonna have
This
to talk
allows you to
about
go
that
to the correct place. Yeah. For the correct help. And so it's something that's available to anybody, whether you need it today or you get sick 2 months down the road. Please remember to call Kiddada. Oh, I remember I can get, now it's always better, they say, to have it. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. This you can call at any time and get it. The prescriptions do take 3 days once you sign up. Just meaningful disclosure.
Right.
It will take 3 days for your prescription card to come in, get processed, and for you to be able to use that. So you don't want to get sick and then have to wait 3 days for your prescriptions to be eligible. So I do recommend that you get it now. You can upgrade, downgrade if you want the $100 plan. There are also vision, dental, and chiropractic. My low back in my neck from car wrecks is not at 42 moving the way it used to. And so when I get up some days. So there's chiropractic discounts, there's vision discounts, there's so many benefits inside of this that you can use. That is, the value is huge and the cost is less than one copay
Right.
for most people. And again, you cover a family of 8. So to do preventative, to make sure that your levels are right, to make sure that everybody in the house, it doesn't matter if you want to get the value out of it. So once a month, I want you to call and use the services. If there's anything on your heart and mind and soul, talk it out with somebody. Just to keep the family healthy, or to discover where there may be issues that you haven't picked up on your own yet. The services are available and unlimited. So it's something that the value is just unheard of.
And so, listen, y'all, we could talk about this all day, every day.
All day.
And I think we might do a different show. we might actually. Well, we're gonna have to bring on Dr. Casual Pitts after
Absolutely.
put his business out here about his eye
And
issues.
he will. And he will. I will promise to have him on here. We just got to get him off a plane long enough.
I know that's right. Because we all need to hop to other things, but I also want to say one of the fun services, fun in quotations, and I have to lean in and say this with like this because she's gonna pop up and look me in my eye. Zora, if you need pet care too, they have pet care as well. And we know, listen, I had to take my dog a few months back because she got sick last time I traveled, and $500. My feelings were hurt, but I was okay. I was glad she was okay. And I was grateful, Lord, that I had the money in the bank to pay for it. But we know that's real. That was shoe money, y'all. But don't talk to me about my shoe money. But that was shoe money. But it's there. And I love the service. And like I said, full disclosure, you all, I have become an agent, and I am not a person. I sell people for a living. Politicians, all kinds of stuff, but I'm not into services. But I know that this is a product that we need now.
It's a solution. It's a solution for a problem that is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not about being an agent with Konnect MD is always because you want to help people. I know people need this. I know this will help people. I can't I want to save the world and I can't, but with this, I can improve the quality of life. I can impact the quality of that family. I can impact their health. And that's why you become an agent. So the two things that I didn't mention, so thank you for that, is the pet care. And it doesn't have to be a dog or cat. It's $20 a month. We'll cover every pet in the household. We even cover horses. And what it is, they do not give prescriptions, just full disclosure again, they do not write prescriptions for a pet because a pet can't tell you what's going on,
Right.
again, out of ethical reasons, but you can call them. Hey, she's throwing up. This is what she's doing. Is it
Right.
okay to give her Gatorade? Should I take her into the vet? Should I, before you spend that $500,
Right.
you can call a licensed veterinarian who will walk you through what you can do, what you shouldn't do, tell you what you should worry about, what you don't. I'm a mama of 3 fur babies. The domestic violence company that I was on the board for was HIMSA House. They actually help pets and victims of domestic violence get to safety together.
Yep.
So it's a very unique cause if you want to look up a HIMSA House. But
Yep.
also, aside from pets, so many people are trying to lose weight, have struggled to lose weight. The new GLP-1s that everybody are, some abusing, some using. There's also a FIT program where you can get the semaglutide, the name brand Ozempics and all of that stuff. There is a semaglutide plan and a FIT plan that they also offer. It is $375 a month that covers your medication. You also get a nutritionist where they walk you through what you need to do to lose weight the right way, not just take a shot. They have labs that you get done to make sure you're taking the right amount of medication. It's not doing damage. So there's a FIT plan also, and it covers all of your medication. There's people paying $700 and $1,000 just for the shot.
Wow.
With this, you get so much more. And my children even used it. My son wanted to run for Suicide Prevention Month. This month, there's a 5K. He's never run a marathon. He called Konnect MD and asked them how to prepare in time for the marathon. They gave him a diet plan, an exercise plan, a strategy that he's stuck to, and now he's going to be running his 5K. The things that you can use Konnect MD for go so far beyond what we could ever explain, all in one interview.
I am super excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this next journey. I'm super excited like you. I love to solve the problems of the world. We're going to take it one day at a time, one moment at a time.
One person, yeah.
One person. Thank you, Jaimie Bullock, for being vulnerable enough to share your story.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being brave enough to step up and say, listen, there's this product that I've entered into that I feel like this is what is the next generation of really good access to health needs and health care.
And it's just to share one more thing, because I didn't go deep into my story, but you guys, I got half the letters of the alphabet. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, with OCD, with ADHD, with depression. There's so many things, but the quality of my life and the assistance that I can get through this allows me to keep going into areas that I can help. I can make an impact. So don't think that this is not a selling tool. This is something that my entire family uses. My son struggles really bad with anxiety to the point that he developed anhidrosis. He couldn't sweat. He started having physical responses, like you mentioned earlier, because of mental health, just anxiety and stress. And he was 16 or 17 when it came out. It's something that we may not realize the repercussions of what we're going through. So having a doctor that can check those things, I'm only speaking about this because it's helped me through my mental health journey. It's helped my children through their mental health journey. And at almost 22 and 20, they no longer had access to their insurance. So for $100 a month, they're covered. She's covered. My daughter uses her dermatology through it. It's something that has helped my family, which is why I wanted to share it.
Well, I appreciate you. And you all, as we are closing in wrap one, thank you for Jaimie being here on Conflict Whisperer show this morning on this podcast. I do want to share with you all that know that mental illness is not your stopping point.
No.
You can definitely learn the skills that you need to move yourself forward. And your voice is definitely meant to be heard. It is meant to be heard, and all of your challenges are valid. There is a validity to you and your challenges. I want to say that Yeah, they do matter. I also
matter.
want to add that if you are having depression issues, if you are having any type of suicidal ideations, listen, the most simple number to call is 988. And I'll repeat that again, 988.
Yes.
Call that number, utilize that number, because you're not going to run up against people who are tired of your phone calls, who you might think will be judging you, and so forth. And so, and listen, you all can reach out to me about Konnect MD. I will put all that information out there, and let's have more conversation. And let's hope in 2025, as we're closing out the end of the year, that we reduce that 49,000 number of people that are no longer on this earth with us or in the United States. Let's encourage our husbands, our brothers, our sons, our uncles to speak to someone, get off all of their challenges off of their chest. Let's encourage women to continue talking, but move into action and come up with action plans so we can reduce the amount of autoimmune diseases. And one day I'll do a whole show on that, why that's impactive. But just know, depression it's here. It's with us. It's always been with us. And so let's not hide from it. Let's not run from it. So Jaimie Bullock, thank you for being on the show. Thank you to Yoruba, my awesome producer, who is like, once again, here we are at 8:25, and she said 8 o'clock, but guess what? You know,
Jaimie talked too much. It's my fault.
It's all good.
I take accountability.
We talk a lot. And so, sister, thank you. We will talk later today, because I need a date.
Everybody have a great day.
All right. Bye, you all. Have a good day. Till next time. Till next Thursday, I think.
Thank you.
Bye, you all. Thanks, Yoruba.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Grey and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.